All right, let's talk about something I think we all know a little too well, how to stop overthinking. We're going to get into it today through a story, and then back it up with some really powerful science-based tools you can actually use. Let's dive in.
So, I want you to meet James. Now, James had this talent, but it wasn't the kind of thing you'd ever brag about or put on a resume. His special skill? He could turn the tiniest little problem into a full-blown mental catastrophe.
You know the drill. A simple text like, hey, we need to talk, would just send him spiraling. His brain would instantly cook up this highlight reel of all the worst-case scenarios. He'd be up at 2 a.m. replaying conversations from like 5 years ago, totally stuck on an endless loop of what-ifs.
Yeah, I'm guessing that sounds pretty familiar. Because James's story, in a lot of ways, it's our story. That feeling of being trapped inside your own head, it's something almost all of us have felt.
And that feeling brings us to our first big idea here, the overthinking trap. Because, you really can't get out of a trap until you understand how it's built and how it works. So what James was doing, it actually has a clinical name. It's called rumination. And it's not problem solving. It's just spinning your wheels. Think of it like a hamster wheel for your mind. You're putting in all this effort, going round and round, but you're not actually getting anywhere. And all it does is flood your body with stress hormones like cortisol.
James's therapist gave him this absolute game-changing insight. She said, overthinking feels productive. And that's the tricky part, right? Our brains are wired to solve problems. So when we're thinking so hard, it feels like we're doing something useful. It's a trick. It makes you believe you're getting ready for anything, but really, it's just your anxiety trying to wrestle the steering wheel away from life to control a future that is, completely uncertain.
And that was the light bulb moment for James, the big realization. He wasn't actually solving anything. He was just rehearsing his fears, playing them over and over and over until they felt absolutely real. And that's when he decided, okay, enough fighting. It's time to try something different.
So that realization leads us right into our next section. It's time to actually get our hands on the first set of tools that James started using. These are really practical ways to just short-circuit that overthinking loop.
Okay, this first tool is so simple, it's brilliant. It's called the two-question rule. The next time his brain started to go off the rails, James would just stop and ask himself two things. One, is this an actual problem happening in this exact moment? And two, if it is there something I can physically do about it right now?
The logic here is pretty straightforward. You can kind of see it in this flowchart. If you've got a problem and you can do something about it, well, then do it. If not, if the answer to either of those questions is no, then the only logical thing to do is to practice letting it go. And this isn't just some clever trick. It's a core technique from cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, which is proven to help cut down on anxiety by separating what you can control from what you can't. Next up, James learned that overthinking isn't just in your head, it's in your whole body. When you get anxious, your amygdala, that's the brain's little fear alarm, it just goes haywire. And when it does, the logical, rational part of your brain kind of shuts down. So trying to reason with your anxious thoughts at that moment, it's pretty much useless. The real key is to activate your body's own off switch, the parasympathetic nervous system. And here's how you do it. A super simple breathing exercise. You breathe in for 4 seconds, and then, this is the important part, you breathe out for 6 seconds. That longer exhale is what scientists have found actually triggers that rest and digest calming response. Doing this for just 3 minutes can seriously chill out your body's stress response. And as James found out, a calm body, well, it leads to a much calmer mind.
Now, this next one is going to sound a little weird, but trust me, it's a powerhouse. Instead of just letting his worries take over his day whenever they felt like it, James literally scheduled an appointment with them. He'd set aside 15 minutes every evening. So if a worry showed up at 1 in the afternoon, he'd just mentally say, hey, thanks for stopping by, but our meeting isn't until 6:30 tonight. It sounds crazy, but studies show that by postponing your worries, you actually shrink their power over time.
So those first few tools were super helpful, but the biggest change for James actually came from a deeper shift in his mindset. It was all about finally truly letting go of the need to be in control of everything.
See, deep down, a lot of our overthinking is fueled by this little glitch in our brains called the illusion of control bias. It's this sneaky belief that if we just think about something hard enough and long enough, we can somehow prevent bad things from happening. But we know, logically, that's not really how it works. So, to push back against this, James created a new personal mantra, kind of inspired by Stoic philosophy. He'd tell himself, I will prepare, but I will not try to control what is not mine. He'd focus on what he could control, his own actions, his own effort, but the outcome, he practiced letting go of that.
It's not about giving up, it's about accepting that some things are just out of her hands.
And finally, we have what might be the simplest tool in the whole box. Whenever James felt himself getting stuck in that spiral, he just did one thing. He stood up and went for a walk. No ifs, ands, or buts. Research shows that physical movement actually reduces activity in the part of your brain that handles all that rumination. It literally, physically breaks the thought loop.
So, after putting all these things into practice day after day, what actually changed for James? What was the result of all this work? Let's take a look at the new James.
Now, this is really important. The goal was never to just silence his mind. I mean, that's impossible. Instead, James completely retrained his relationship with his thoughts. He started to see his overthinking mind as something that was just trying to protect him, but it had a really bad strategy.
So now, when one of those anxious thoughts pops up, he doesn't fight it. He doesn't go down the rabbit hole. He just sort of acknowledges it. You know, like a well-meaning friend who's freaking out a little bit. And he confidently tells it, hey, thanks for trying to help, but I've got this.
So there it is, your brand new toolkit for dealing with overthinking. You've got the 2-question rule for clarity, you've got calm breathing for your body, you've got scheduled worry for structure, acceptance for peace, and movement for a quick reset.
And at the end of the day, all of these tools really just point to one bigger idea: learning to have a little bit of trust. Trust in yourself that you can handle whatever comes your way, and trust that life usually unfolds in ways that are a whole lot better than what our anxiety predicts.
And I just want to leave you with this one last thought to chew on. Think about it. You have survived every single one of your worst days so far. Life, the universe, your own strength, whatever you want to call it, it's got a perfect record. So, what if it can handle tomorrow too?